Hello, my lovelies. It is thrilling because, well, my lovelies, it is our first day for the Cultivate Self Confidence Challenge. 3-day extravaganza. And we are going to be busy elevating your self confidence. Now, we're going to be using yoga tools for it too. That's my background is in yoga. So let me tell you a bit about all this. I was shocked and horrified and upset that so many women just feel they're not accomplished. They lack trust in themselves. Does that sort of sound familiar? The first thing we're going to get into is this negative self-talk. I looked at this and I thought to myself, something has to be done. Midlife, well, any time of life really, but midlife is an amazing time for you to cultivate self-confidence. It's often a time when your home situation, your general situation is changing. I mean, the most obvious one is a lot of women become empty nesters at the time. At that time, and we're looking around, there's lots going on. You know, it's a new stage of life, our bodies are changing, the home is having less people in it, and we look around and it can feel a bit unmoored. And you can find that you're not really trusting yourself to step into a gorgeous midlife chapter. Now is the time when the shape of your life, your body, the shape of your life is really changing. And that self confidence, that self trust is going to lead you into finding out what you want to do and how to create your midlife chapter. And I thought to myself, I have to do something with this. I have to help women, and yoga can make all the difference. We'll be talking a lot more about that. Now, it's these negative voices, isn't it? There's a lot of it about. You run yourself down. You tell yourself you're not good enough. You tell yourself that you've got to do everything perfectly. You tell yourself, you know, you're just not worthy of receiving amazing things. You tell yourself you never get anything right. You know, you're always just a failure. I'm betting if one of those doesn't resonate with you, there's something in your head that you recognize. Well, this is just awful. I mean, these voices are reining you in, and they are stopping you from really exploring your midlife chapter. They're stopping you from tuning into how you want to create it. So hear those voices again, right? You know, perhaps you even hear your mom or your dad. These voices are set in your childhood. They were instilled there. You hear these voices they're the pattern of this being put down, held to a ridiculous situation. And this has knock-on effects. I mean, what happens is it becomes so ingrained in you that you don't even realize how you bring it to the table later in life all the time and how it's affecting you. Let's take something we haven't mentioned. There's perfectionism. A lot of women are told they have to be perfect. And if a thing's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And that ends up with a feeling that you have to do everything yourself and you have to do it perfectly. Maybe, you know, you do it because you think that'll get your attention and love. Maybe you do it because that's just the way things are done in your household. But of course, perfectionism doesn't exist. We're all human. And what ends up happening? Well, it affects your relationship because you can't let anything go in your relationship. There's a right way to stack the dishwasher. There's a right way to do the shopping. There's a right way to go about everything. And you can't just hand over something. And this affects your relationship. It affects you professionally too. What happens is that you end up missing opportunities. You don't put your hat in the ring. You don't raise your hand because, well, you think it has to be perfect. So you miss out on opportunities. And these things are really enmeshed in your brain. We've got the perfectionism. There's the straight up, you can't do anything right. Who's saying that, right? There's the straight up, why can't you be like your sister? There's the straight up, all of these things. And I have a fabulous comment here from Kirsty saying it's really interesting to consider whose voice it might be. And, getting a handle on that is really exactly why we're here today, to understand this voice, whose it is, so that we can then say, oh my goodness, this is absolutely not true. I am fine. There is nothing wrong with me. This is a pattern that was instilled in me by my mother, my father, whomever. And my lovelies, Kirsty hit the nail on the head there. Once you realize what it is and where it comes from, then we can do something about it. We have to kick these voices to the curb. And you will find the most amazing, amazing sense of relief and release when you can do that, when you can look at this pattern and when you can shift this pattern. Because you are not these voices. And you can definitely step away from that and shift that. You don't have to keep hearing these negative voices. You don't have to keep acting upon that. You don't have to hold yourself back. Go back for a moment to that perfectionism. You don't have to miss opportunities. Let's look again briefly at midlife. You don't have to miss out on creating an amazing midlife. You really don't. Maybe there's actually something that you've always wanted to do. Art. You loved your art. I thought, well, maybe I can go and do some art courses. And then you hear that voice. Yeah, rubbish. You can be rubbish. I mean, why expose yourself to that? Wow, right? Wow. Or maybe the voice is telling you, if you're going to be selfish, you have all these responsibilities. And you just want to, dance off and do this wonderful thing, and it's selfish. I have responsibilities. This is what mature people do. And you've just got to step up because you're the oldest child and you're expected to be good, to take charge, to help mom and dad, to be a parent when you're a child and to step up. No, we can banish these voices. And that is what we are here to do. We are here to shift this pattern today. That is our job for today. That is where we are going to dig into a really, 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 messy undergrowth there, because we all have this mess of patterns and things. And we're going to dip into that, put our toes in that water and learn to swim in it. Wow. So this is the deepest, most important thing. Because without this, you're not going to be able to be confident in who you are and to trust yourself. And I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You sort of get to this point where, you get to this point, you think, oh, yeah, light bulb. Absolute, massive, brilliant light bulb. Oh, wow. That's what's happening. Oh, my goodness. I never feel worthy because I was a girl and my parents always wanted a boy. So I always made myself small. I was never worthy. Wow. Brilliant. And then you sort of think, perhaps, well, now I've had that amazing revelation. What do I do? I mean, what do I do with it? It's here in my hands, and it's unhelpful, and I'm not loving the fact but I feel this way, even though I understand why I feel this way. What do I do? How do I shift this? How do I move it? How do I change what's going on in my mind? My lovelies, this is the truly amazing and wonderful thing about yoga. This is what it does. It gives you tools to take that next step. Oh, it's totally, totally beautiful. And that is a big piece, an integral piece to what we're doing here, and why I think this challenge is just going to change how you feel about yourself, your self-confidence, your self-trust. It is going to change it because these tools are going to help you to do that and keep helping you to do that. And our first tool that we're going to be using is mostly journaling. We're going to step into these patterns through journaling. I'm sending you really nitty-gritty journaling prompts. Now hold on to your hat because they're pointed, they're targeted really at this pattern, at seeing it, at understanding it, at exposing it. Now that you can really, really step away from what's been instilled in your head in that negative way as a child. You can really, really know that you are fine and that there's nothing wrong with you. And that's the second part of what you'll be doing and what you'll be getting. It's hard looking at these patterns. I'm not denying it. You know, it's some heavy lifting going on. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think I just did a really bad mixed metaphor. But at least you understand me. The other thing you're getting is I'm giving you an affirmation. I actually encourage you to create your own as well. It'd be a marvelous thing to do. But I am sending you an affirmation so that you can step away from these patterns and shift how that is feeling for you into something constructive, away from the undermining, the destructive, into something constructive. And, you know, that is actually the important part here. This part where today, you know, our purpose here is to identify and start the work. Identify where these patterns come from, what they're all about, and start to shift the work. Now, bear with me for a moment because this is yoga, and I want to talk to you briefly about some of the thinking, the yogic thinking behind this. What is amazing, I think, is that there are no coincidences. Because this, what I'm about to talk to you about, it really came up for me yesterday. I'm doing Kundalini Yoga teacher training. So excited about that. more tomorrow. And I was looking at one of the videos, this training. Now, I already have, you know, my training certificate. This is an extra one. And yoga is sort of a philosophy. And it has these things called 8 limbs, which is sort of a philosophy for life. Here are ways to live your life well. The first of these are called the yamas. And note that it's the first. And this is the philosophy part. This is about restraint. It's the first of the yamas is asimna, which is about restraint. And the 8 limbs, first of the yamas, restraint. That's interesting, isn't it? Because the next are about the opening up. So you get restraint first, which is sort of interesting, isn't it? And there's chatter about, let's turn them upside down, these restraints. And my view, which is actually what the person leading this teacher training said, is that we don't tend to think in positives. Wish we did, but we don't. So you get a negative thought popping into your mind, or you have to seek something like gratitude. It's often overwhelmed. Our thoughts are often overwhelmed with the negative. And so it's good to understand that, to know we're all human, to know that we snap, and we want to restrain ourselves from snapping. Maybe bring it up better later or not. So here's the thing that I'm going to bring it back to now. It's the catching yourself. It's the way to get awareness of the negativity so you can then shift it. And it's interesting that this is sort of at the top of the list, of the restraint list, right? That the restraints are at the top of the list, not here's how you open up and create a beautiful life. Those are the niyamas. And that is what we're doing here. You're delving into an understanding of these negative voices, why you have them, and why they are unreliable narrators about you and who you are. And that's the thing, patterns take a little while to be broken. And that voice will come up and come up again and again. So every time you hear that voice, you can shift it. You can understand, hello, I hear your voice, Mom. you have no idea who I am, and you say, you write down, you do a recording that cycles and cycles of your affirmation. So you're retraining what's going on. You're shifting it from that negative voice to the positive of who you really are with the affirmation. You get your hands dirty, you do that digging, you find out what these negative voices are about in the pattern, so that you can feel in your very center that this is not true about you. That's what we're doing first. Then, when this pattern wants to pop up and rear its ugly head again, you have the affirmation to shift it. Right? See, this is, we all think of yoga as being physical, but there's all this off the mat stuff. There's all this philosophy of yoga. There's all this way of thinking about your life and tools for your life that yoga has to offer. So this is why we're here, my lovelies. This is why we're here. The way to live your life part of this through yoga is knowing who you are. Your confidence in who you are. That's why we're here. And then we're using yoga tools to instill this in us, to shift away those formations in our mind, those wrong voices that we hear and that stay with us. Because yoga says you are always your own true self. You just need to come home to it. We're coming home to our self-confidence. Today we're doing it with a journaling practice and an affirmation. And I thoroughly encourage you to open yourself up to this. It might be difficult, but it'll be healing. And really, really find that good help in your affirmation. Now, these are just generalized ones that I've made for all of you. There will be an opportunity for you lovely ladies to work personally with me on a one-to-one basis, and that will give you an array of yoga tools to build your self-confidence in an area specifically geared to your own situation and with tools that are specifically geared to you. So today, enjoy your affirmations. Really revel in them, writing them down, walking about, saying to yourself, and do give your journaling prompts your all. It's going to be healing, and you're going to be able to step into more self-confidence. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at lack of support. And that's like, wait, what? Lack of support? Yes, the lack of support you had and why that's holding you back, and the incredible importance of support in trusting yourself, building self-confidence, and moving ahead as your true self, as your true, wonderful midlife self. No life. That's like the deep mindset change. That's also more revelatory tomorrow, as far as this is this is a tool. I didn't even realize I was missing it. All sorts of stuff. Anyway, this is going to be tomorrow's subject. Oh, so come join me tomorrow, same time, same place. Absolutely loving chatting with you lovely ladies, doing this important work that is going to have a profound effect just everywhere in your life. So I'll be emailing, and I will be sending your wonderful tools. Sign up if you haven't already to get these fabulous tools, and I'll be sending the replay. Any more questions? Oh, lots to think about. I think that's good. I'm hoping that's good. Thanks so much for being here, Kirsty. Much appreciated that you could join us. And I hope to see all you lovely ladies